Picture this, a grainy black and white film reel from 1936. A striped creature paces back and forth in a cage at Hobart Zoo. That animal was Benjamin, the very last Tasmanian tiger ever captured on camera. Officially, that was the end of the line. Extinct, gone forever. But here's the thing, in the decades since, hundreds of people have claimed they've seen it. Farmers, rangers, bushwalkers, not crackpots, but ordinary Australians. And some of these sightings? They've been called the closest thing to proof that the thylacine might still be out there. Stick around, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see extinction itself. And hey, before we dive in, smash that like button and subscribe. It helps keep stories like this alive. The thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, was unlike anything else on Earth. It looked like a wolf, but it wasn't a wolf. It carried its young in a pouch like a kangaroo, but it wasn't a roo either. It was a marsupial apex predator, the top of the food chain in Tasmania for thousands of years. Back in the 19th and early 20th centuries, settlers feared and despised it. Sheep farmers swore these striped hunters were wiping out their flocks, and the government put a bounty on their heads. The result? Over 3,500 animals were slaughtered in just a few decades. The very thing that made them unique also sealed their fate. By 1936, Benjamin died in captivity, left out in the cold of his cage overnight. And in 1982, the species was officially declared extinct. Case closed, or so they said. Here's where it gets interesting. Since then, more than 1,200 reported sightings have been logged. Some vague, some downright convincing. One bushranger, Hans Narding, was so shaken by what he saw in 1982 that his report was stamped credible by wildlife authorities. It's a bit like the legend of El Dorado, the mythical lost city of gold. Explorers chased shadows, mocked by scientists, but driven by a vision that refused to die. The thylacine has become Australia's own El Dorado, a mystery that won't fade quietly into the night. And as we peel back this story, you'll see why some experts still whisper, maybe, just maybe, the Tasmanian tiger isn't gone after all. When Europeans arrived in Tasmania, they saw the thylacine not as a marvel, but as a menace. Stories spread of striped wolves ripping through sheep paddocks. The truth, in many cases, feral dogs were to blame, but the thylacine copped the blame anyway. By 1830, the government introduced bounties. £1 for every adult thylacine, 10 shillings for a pup. To a struggling farmer, that was easy money. Over 3,500 thylacines were wiped out this way. Imagine that, a whole species brought to its knees by paperwork and payouts. The final blow came in September 1936. Benjamin, the last known thylacine, was left outside at Hobart Zoo. Cold, exposure, neglect, and with that the curtain fell. Or so it seemed. But extinction isn't always that neat. Just because the government declared it gone in 1982 doesn't mean the bush signed the same paperwork. And that's where the mystery begins. Not long after Benjamin's death, whispers began. Farmers claimed striped shadows darted across fence lines. Hikers in Tasmania's dense forests reported strange tracks. And then came Hans Narding's account in 1982. Narding was a respected parks ranger, out on survey duty. One night, in the glow of his headlights, he froze. Standing before him was a creature he later described as unmistakably thylacine. Stiff tail, stripes, awkward gait. His report was so detailed that officials logged it as credible. But Hans wasn't alone. Since then, sightings have trickled in from all corners. Bushwalkers in Tasmania, truck drivers in Western Australia, even a tourist who swore he saw 4 striped animals playing with a dog. Skeptics say people mistake mangy foxes or dogs. And sure, in the dead of night, with shadows playing tricks, mistakes happen. But when seasoned bushmen and scientists quietly admit, "I can't rule it out," it keeps the fire burning. Think of it like spotting a mate in a crowded pub. For a split second, you're sure it's him. The stance, the walk, the jacket, then he turns and it's someone else. But that first flash, it lingers. That's the Thylacine mystery. And these stories push scientists to act. Over the years, serious money has gone into the hunt. In Tasmania, researchers set up camera traps across the wilderness. Some expeditions even lit controlled fires, hoping flames would funnel hidden animals into the open, like a natural cattle race. Nick Mooney, one of Tasmania's most respected biologists, once claimed to have seen not one, but two thylacines. That kind of testimony carries weight. Still, the cameras stayed silent. Then came the James Cook University project, over 2,000 camera traps in Queensland's Cape York Peninsula, a place where locals had whispered about striped animals. Months passed, hours of footage were combed, and again, nothing conclusive. But does absence of proof mean proof of absence? Not necessarily. These landscapes are vast, rugged, and thick with cover. As one guide put it, "You could hide an elephant in here, let alone a thylacine." And so, attention turned elsewhere. Across the Torres Strait lies Papua New Guinea, and here the story takes a twist. Local tribes speak of a creature called the dobsegna, a striped dog-like animal with a stiff tail. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? To test this, researchers showed villagers a series of photos. Dingoes, dogs, known animals, and the thylacine. Without hesitation, many pointed to the stripes. They'd seen it before. They called it the striped dog. Why would thylacines survive in PNG? Simple, no dingoes. Unlike mainland Australia, where dingoes arrived thousands of years ago and outcompeted thylacines, Papua remained dingo-free. That left an ecological niche wide open. Could a few stragglers have clung on here, far from Tasmania's cold forests? It's a long shot. But then came one clue that blew the whole thing wide open. Enter Rose, a researcher studying the New Guinea singing dog. While in a remote village, she heard a story that chilled her. A local man said he'd once found a litter of strange pups inside a hollow log. Striped, stiff tails, not dogs, not dingoes, something else. The pups were taken back to the village. One survived, but not for long. It was killed by the local dogs. The body was eaten. But here's the kicker. One villager saved part of the jawbone, and that fragment was photographed and sent on. To this day, that image is considered the closest anyone has come to hard evidence of a living thylacine, a piece of bone from a striped pup that shouldn't exist. It's not a smoking gun, but it's a whisper, an echo, a fragment of hope. And for those chasing this ghost, that's enough to keep going. So, where does this leave us? For some, the thylacine is gone, full stop. For others, it's a challenge worth millions. One proposed expedition called for helicopters, 2,000 cameras, and months of boots on the ground. Price tag? $5 million. Madness? Maybe. But remember, the coelacanth, a fish thought extinct for 65 million years, turned up alive in 1938. Stranger things have happened. The Tasmanian tiger might never roar again, but the mystery is alive and well. Whether the Tasmanian tiger still lives, or whether it's gone for good, one thing's certain. It has captured the imagination of an entire nation. Its legend prowls through our culture, through late-night campfire stories, through blurred photos and shaky videos. And maybe that's the real legacy. Sometimes mystery itself is enough to keep something alive. So, what do you reckon? And until the bush gives up its final secret, people will keep looking. The story of the thylacine isn't just about extinction. It's about obsession, hope, and the human refusal to let go of wonder. It's about farmers haunted by stripes in the night, scientists torn between data and possibility, and explorers who gamble their careers chasing shadows. Do you believe the Tasmanian tiger is still out there, hiding in the shadows of our forests? Or is it truly gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Australia's greatest mysteries, don't forget to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button and share it with your mates. It really helps keep stories like this alive and pushes us to keep exploring the unknown. And hey, stick around, because the truth is, the world's full of secrets waiting to be uncovered.